Today's segment of Sound Balming is brought to you by Jimmy and Mary's Authentic Body Care. I cannot express to you how much we love their products. Although we use them all year, as the weather gets colder, we need these products even more. The dreaded drop in temperature, the dryness, the itchiness, and the unnecessary flakiness is inevitable. Shea butter from Jimmy and Mary's Authentic Body Care is the only thing that works for my skin and hair needs. Not only do these products cure my dry skin, the whipped butter goes on smoothly and doesn't leave that uncomfortably thick, sticky residue. Bonus? It smells absolutely amazing. There are so many different scents to choose from too. Not only do they carry skincare products, there are products for authentic living, face, shower, hair and beard, spritzers and perfumes, and bath products. Let me tell you, we cannot even keep the stuff in the studio. The entire production team as well as all our children use Jimmy and Mary's product. Jimmy and Mary's take pride in creating quality, handcrafted products from simple ingredients for the entire family. Their products are made for all skin types and are 100% handmade, 100% vegan, and 100% cruelty-free. Skincare is important. Moisture is key, and keeping our skin and hair hydrated is essential. I cannot emphasize how much we trust Jimmy and Mary's for all of our skincare needs. Hurry on up to jimmyandmarys.com and check out their products. Did I mention service is fast and efficient too? Don't forget to mention that you heard about Jimmy and Mary's Authentic Skincare on Sound Balming. Use the discount code SOUNDBALM20 to get 15% off. That's SOUNDBALM20 for 15% off at Jimmy and Mary's Authentic Skincare.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sound Bombing. I created this show for people who want to experience a radical, life-changing journey through the sounds of my diverse guests. I hope that each sound you hear on this show will strengthen your faith, encourage your dreams, and challenge you to awaken the greatness within you.
Drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We're gonna drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We're gonna drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We come to drop the bomb. Drop the bomb.
This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Lamar Darnell Shields.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the time of the day it is, and welcome to my show. I'm Dr. Lamar Darnell Shields, the creator of Sound Bombing, and my goal with this show is to introduce you to people with ideas that will help you unlock your full potential. Now listen, bombers, I remember a story my dad told me years ago. It goes like this. An older gentleman and his granddaughter were sitting on a bench outside of the city market, enjoying a soda in the sunshine. Of course, this is pre-COVID, right? When a stranger pulled up, the stranger asked the older gentleman, "Can you tell me a little bit about this town? I'm thinking about moving my family here." The older gentleman replied, "Well, welcome. We are glad to have you. Tell me a little about where you're from." The stranger then replied, "Oh, we love our community. There were lots of friendly people. My work was meaningful, and it's sad to leave. However, I have been afforded a new position in this town, and I'm here to check it out." To this older gentleman, he replied, "That sounds exactly like our town. I believe you and your family will love it." A short time later, another stranger pulled up and said, "Why are all these strangers pulling up in this town? First of all, there's too many strangers in this town." And the old timer said, "Hey, tell me a little about this town," the stranger said to the old timer. Again, this older gentleman replied, "Welcome. We are glad to have you. Now tell me a little bit about where you came from." The stranger began his story. "To tell you the truth, I hate where I live right now. The people are not friendly, and my work drives me crazy. However, I am interviewing for a job here today, and I thought things might be a little different here." To this old gentleman, he replied, "It sounds like the town you live in is exactly like our town. The stranger got in his car, and as he began to drive away, he said, "Thanks, old man. I figured I wouldn't be any better." The older gentleman's granddaughter looked at him in bewilderment and asked, "Grandpa, why did you tell each stranger a different story about our town?" And the older gentleman replied, "Because, honey, everything is exactly what we make." You see, for most of us, letting go of these healthy decisions and habits started sticking with new ones can be challenging. Looking for new and old, looking for new talents, but then in the same body. You see, most people would be more successful if they had support and guidance from a skilled health professional, somebody who can help them feel good about who they are. In response to this unmet need, there's been a booming health coaching community that has emerged. Some health coaches are licensed and medical professionals. You see, others are people who simply have a passion for helping others. Just like today's guest, Sid Garza-Hillman. He knows about being happy because he's the author of Approaching the Natural, a health manifesto, and Raising Healthy Parents, Small Steps, Less Stress, and a Thriving Family. He graduated from UCLA with a BA in philosophy, is a coach, public speaker, and podcaster. He is amazing, not only because I'm saying he's amazing, and not only because he's in the studio with me, hanging out virtually, because I saw so many of the funny things that he's doing, all the amazing conversations that he had. So I'm so excited to welcome my man into the sound bombing community. Sid, how are you doing, brother? Let our listeners know where you're calling in from and how you are today.
I am doing great, Lamar. I'm super happy to be here. I am here on the Mendocino coast of California, north, like 3-hour drive north of San Francisco in this little town. I moved up here from Los Angeles, so I've been here for 15 years and happy to not be in Los Angeles any longer. My wife and 3 kids, and we've got dog and cats and everything, and I'm just really happy to be here.
Well, you heard the story about the old man with his granddaughter and the 2 people talking about happiness. Now, I know you write about this, you blog about it, you talk about it, you lecture about it. Sid, how does a person find happiness?
Well, my new book is a health 6 Truths is a happiness manifesto, because I realized starting out as a nutritionist that happiness, it was all about happiness. People would come to me to talk about food and weight loss, and in 10 seconds, it was like, it's not really about weight loss, is it? It's about you want to live happy. You want to feel good, fulfilled in your life. Then it began a philosophy discussion. And I still work in the nutritional realm, but only in context of remember why you're doing this, so that it doesn't seem restrictive, and all the changes you make are to make yourself happier, self-care, nourishment. That's my work here. I believe to make yourself happy means establishing control where you can find it and knowing the difference, with things you can control and can't. Because in any situation, like your great story, it is what you make it. And people come from different backgrounds and have different experiences. But when you come to your life with an ethic, and I call it an ethic, and I know that's my philosophy background, an ethic of self-care, you live better. You have more control. You're able to give up things that you can't control and able to step in when you can. And knowing the difference is the ultimate power. And even as a practitioner, I am more than you can. You talk to anybody who ever worked with me, I'm like, my number one goal is to never have you need me ever again. I don't want to hook into anybody. I don't want people coming to me. So I need your help. I'll guide you, and then you're on your way, because you've got it in you. You just may need a little bit of teaching. That's fine. And then it's letting you go and experiencing it for yourself.
Well, you are the guru of happiness. You talk about the 6 truths of being happy. I want to hear about that. You also wrote a book about Approaching the Natural, a health manifesto, which is a philosophy, I believe, of a health and a happiness book. Talk to me about the 6 truths, and why did you stop at 6, man?
I know. Well, it went from 4. It was 4. So here's the book right here. It just came out. I'm really excited about it.
And I love your story when you talk about. I hate when people say this. I hate to cut you off, but I'm cutting you off anyway.
Do it.
Before you go into that question, I'll answer that question. I love your story about when you walked into the bookstore and you like, how the ham sandwich at the bookstore get a copy of my book before I got my book? So you walked in the bookstore, you grabbed the book, and you held the book. But what's interesting, you didn't buy the book.
Did not buy the book. I can't afford it. No, I went like this. I went, oh, it's so good. And I set it back on the shelf. Yeah, it was so everybody had the book. I had podcast listeners emailing me, got your book. It's great. I go, really good. I hope you enjoy it. Send me a picture, because I haven't seen the darn thing myself. The subtitle is Live by These Truths and Be Happy, Don't and You Won't. And so it started with 4. Then I was like, well, there's kind of a 5th truth. And I was driving up my road and I was like, 6th. Okay, I got to stop here because this is crazy, right? So I sort of figured 6 was really encapsulated my overall message here. But yeah, so I came to 6.
And what are the 6?
Well, they are basically this, and this isn't the exact titles, but the ideas. Live the example. Make that first and foremost. So there's a lot of, as you know, talk, and that's all fine. But I would say over 50% of my job as a coach and health coach and everything I do, and even my second book, Raising Healthy Parents, that's about a message of, as parents, taking care of yourself. Do not put yourself on the back burner. 2 reasons. 1, when you're feeling better and less stressed and healthier, you can parent the way you want to parent better because you're not so overwhelmed and vulnerable. And 2, you're setting an example for your children. And that is a huge thing. But I broaden that out to just how we live. I don't know, maybe because I'm in my 50s now, but I'm looking at people going, before I listen to you, I want to get a sense that you're doing cool stuff and you're living that thing. So that's living the example. The second truth is thickening your skin, not too much so that you're digging your heels in and yelling but not too thin either. So it's a balance of being strong enough to stand up for what's right, but being able to change and being fluid in that regard. The third one is social media. I quit it in 2018 just as an experiment to see what my life would be like. I'm off everything. And so I'm not advocating for that in the book. I am saying, understand that it's not actually social, and that if you can limit it in the way that you would limit junk food for fun, treats, get in, get out, connect to people, that's all good. But it's the vitriol, it's the anger, it's not helping people. I've worked with people nutritionally who were having digestive issues and they think it's all about food. And I go, you're spending 5 hours on social media per day, fighting with people. That's not a healthy act. So it's sort of putting that in. The fourth truth is hard work. There's no substitute for hard work. It takes hard work. Diets are easy, but establishing healthy habits takes hard work. And so it goes. And that's great because when you get there, you earn it. 5 is to be very clear about what you care about. And really, it seems trite, but it's actually like to put some thought and say, like, I don't care about that really office politics, things that we get bent out of shape about, and we come home, we go, why did I get into that thing? Good Lord, it's like not my thing. And the last one is happiness is in the A to Y. So it's in the, Z is the goal, and that's great. But once you hit that goal, and that's amazing, you still got to come back to the life that you live. And if you don't fix that life, there's not a single achievement, one-off achievement you can get that's going to deliver you happiness. Happiness is in the boring day-to-day family work, the things that bring us fulfillment. And
so, Sid, what was going on in your life that you then decided to dedicate your life to, one, being a health coach, but then also searching for this level of happiness? So something had to be going on for you to even write. You said you went from 4 then to 6. What was happening with you?
Just a lot of thinking. I mean, my background is weird. I did some different things in Los Angeles. I'm an actor, musician, struggling, very passionate about music and had a moderate, I don't even want to say moderate, a little bit of success, enough to tour and do records and things, but always a struggle and trying to find that kind of life that I was doing what I was passionate about and feeling happy and fulfilled. And I love my family. Like that's the thing I love the most, and just trying to be the best father and husband I can be and all those kinds of things. So it was just years of thinking and frustration when I took a turn to become a nutritionist early on. People weren't following my recommendations past a month, so it was always like, what, hitting that wall, career-wise, hitting that wall, nutrition-wise, hitting that wall. Why aren't you following my recommendations? They're good. Well, because they didn't have the tools. So that's where approaching the natural came. It was like, how do I crack this nut? How do I figure it? And then I realized, bigger picture than food. It's about happiness. That's what this is. And it's about everything, how we socialize, how we move our bodies, how we create with our minds, all these things. So I just kept thinking and thinking and broadening. And that's where I'm at.
So what makes your approach different from other maybe health coaches that are out there?
My approach is about 99% about habit change and managing stress. I call it awareness-based habit change. So what I'm essentially doing is empowering people to be able to, with tools, to manage their own stress along the way of doing new things so that they can stick with those things long enough for them to become habits. What I find in the world, and I'm, pre-COVID, speaking all over the country and seeing people who know everything about food, but they're not healthy. So the issue becomes how do you use what you know? We all want to go to it must be because I don't know enough. I'm going to go to the next lecture about protein. So, okay, fine. But if they're not using what they know, then it's sort of like a waste of their mental space, right? So I'm teaching people, but I'm saying, don't do everything yet. I'm teaching people via my Small Steppers program to say, okay, now that you know this stuff, what are you able to take on right now, given the context of your life, given what's going on, given your family, work schedule? What are you able to do starting today that you can continue doing? As you can grow it, great. Maybe you hit too much, you back off. That's the training so that they can stick with it long enough and they just become somebody who eats well instead of somebody who's following a diet. And that's the difference is almost all my work is teaching. I'm a running coach. Fine. I'm a breathing coach, but it's like, how do you use that information? That's the key.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about helping people manage their lives. Now, here's a biggie for you. How do you manage a difficult client? Since we're talking about managing, how do you then manage that difficult client or that client that's just struggling?
Oh, and I got him, and that's a great question because I have to, as a coach, I have to be in a place and this is why I said over 50% of my job is keeping myself healthy and happy because I can't get swept up in that whole thing. I have to be the person that they're hiring, which is the person who is in a sense, a backdrop, somebody who has more perspective on their lives at that time than they do. I have clients who go, I feel really discouraged and they're doing great. They don't see it. They're so in the weeds on this stuff that I'm the one who says, you say you're doing nothing, but you did this, and this, and you had a bad day, but then you got up the next day and got back on the pony. So you're succeeding. Do you see that? And I need to be strong and fit and happy in my life so that I can be that for them. And that's how I handle difficult clients. And I have them all the time because people are struggling. I struggle every day. And I'll say one more thing. I am very overt and very transparent about my own struggles. I mean, I did a binge 2 weeks ago. I told my clients, I was like, lost my control on that Thursday, and just out of control. I want my kids to know that I'm afraid, that I'm nervous, what scares me and what doesn't. I want them to see how I'm negotiating and moving through these things so that they don't look at me and go, my dad he never felt that stuff. Of course I do. I'm a human being for crying out loud, right? So that's the struggle here is being empathetic and being there and voicing my own struggle so that they see this is not a it's a struggle to live a good life in today's world. It's a struggle. It just is. And so if you accept that, you can kind of get to work getting it done.
So I'm so glad that you are sort of transparent about sort of where you are, because just like you, people sort of sometimes hold us in high regard because we've spoken on stages, we've lectured, we've sold books, we've had podcasts, we've been on TV. But quite often, we never, and I'm saying I'm including myself, people really don't get a chance to know our struggles, to know our challenges. They see all the great things. Like, oh, you could do this but the reality is that we've overcome many challenges in life. I listen to your videos. I mean, I watch your videos. I listen to some of your talks. Do you have a coaching philosophy when it comes to clients who resist the lifestyle changes that you make their routine? And then is that philosophy also something that you then use when you sort of just in a rut and don't want to get out of bed and don't want to have to motivate somebody? Because I always say, like, who makes a clown laugh? Who motivates the motivator? Who preaches to the imam or to the rabbi or to the priest? Who are those individuals that are the cheerleaders when we're out there and when life says you're no good, you're not going to make it? There are people that are better than you out there. What is your coaching philosophy, or do you have a coaching philosophy?
I do it, and it's living the example is number one. And number two is my small steps approach. It's funny that you say cheerleading because I had a client I just finished up with a few weeks ago who lived in Sweden, and she said the one thing I'm going to miss. Hopefully it wasn't the only thing, but she said the one thing I'm going to miss is, and it's like a 12-week where we're in touch literally every day for 12 weeks. But she said I'm going to miss the cheerleading aspect. And my goal with that is I said, listen, I want you to be obviously your own cheerleader, and I have to be that for myself. My coaching philosophy, I practice what I preach. I get in ruts all the time. I mean, I was just in one the last 2 weeks, literally like just feeling like, and just that kind of thing. And I put my small steps practice back into thing. I set my steps so low that I pick up my guitar once a day and just hold it. Things that I just need to know, one sentence of journaling, things that begin me to act. And that's the difficulty is that if you're used to just, I used to be a full-time musician playing hours a day. Well, now I've got 3 kids and I do this whole other career that I've been doing for a long time now. Well, I can't play for hours a day, but a little bit of music does make me happy. So can I understand that and do it in a very minimal amount? Does it make a difference? Yes, it makes a difference. It really, really does. That's my sell to anybody. It's like those moments make a difference. That 1 minute of deep breathing does make a difference. And so that's what I'm looking for in my ruts and trying to help people. Yesterday, I had a client who's just felt just in that lull. And I said, action breeds action. Do something. When you hang up with me, turn on your thing and do your class, whatever it was that she needed to do for 10 minutes, and text me when you're done. And that just gets it going. We're so, with all the craziness in the world and pandemic on top of it, we're very high on stress, and a little bit extra puts us into overwhelm. So to expect I should be able to do this for hours a day, no, it's very difficult for all of us to do that. But if you can do 10 minutes, it feels good. You can then move on to the next thing.
So let's go a little further with the small steps. Walk me through the small steppers process and what's that actually entail for a person who decides to work with you.
The small steppers process is this. Before we do act one, the mantra I've been using lately is mind first, body second. Mind first, body second. If you notice what's going to happen when somebody goes, I'm not healthy, I got to get I got to get in shape. They're going to go right to the body. They're going to right to the fitness plan. They're going to right to the diet, some sort of book, something. I go mind first. And this frustrates people when they start working with me in the program or my private coaching. They're like, are we getting anything done? I'm like, we're getting a ton done. It's all here. Just wait. We're setting the stage here. Tom Robbins is this novelist. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he wrote Jitterbug Perfume. And I reread that recently. And I'm going to paraphrase it. But he said, you have to prepare the mind for wisdom. And I thought, that's just exactly what I'm talking about. Prepare the mind for wisdom. You got to get ready to accept that knowledge. Are you ready? And so it's about getting ready. So step one is framing in writing their ideal life. I call it the ideal idea. And I asked them, I said, if you didn't know what was actually going on and somebody told you you are living the perfect life, you're living exactly how you want to live, what would it look like? In present tense, I am this, I live here, I do this, I socialize this way. And they write it down. And it takes a while because they do know what's going on. So they might be morbidly obese, but in their ideal idea, they write down, I'm at a healthy weight. I have a healthy relationship with food. I don't beat myself up when I have something less than healthy. Things that may not be a reality, but ideally they would be. I need them to establish that. I don't write it for them, obviously. I want them to know who they really are. That's how I see it. I see it as that's how actually who they are. Then the process is simply having that person emerge into the world more each day. They do that via maintaining a steps list, which is actions that move them closer to that ideal and managed in a way that doesn't overwhelm them or doesn't make them too stagnant. So they're finding this nice little adaptive stress, working hard, not too little. I call it the Goldilocks of stress. It's the right amount right there. And they learn that's the process that takes a while, is to learn to identify when they're feeling, okay, I'm dreading this. I've seen this before. This is when I start overwhelming and yo-yo dieting, right? They're fine. They lose all the weight. Everyone goes, you're great. Then they quit. There's no quitting here. As soon as they feel that start to come on, they back it off and they get used to doing that. And they manage that long enough and they learn that system so then they can apply it however they want.
So, Sid, I know there's some common denominators with the clients that you have. What are you noticing that are some very similar obstacles that stand in the way of people approaching maybe just going natural when it comes to food, turning to nature when it comes to meditation? Turning to walking just to move their body, turning to breathing. What are some of those obstacles that sort of stand in the way of approaching that concept that you're discovering that maybe the majority of your clients sort of have in common?
The majority have yo-yoed in some fashion repeatedly. Yo-yo dieted, yo-yo fitness plans. Just I did it, I made great gains, and then I lost it all because I got overwhelmed. The challenges are that they're trying desperately to they know what they want without really thinking about it. They have a sense that they want to be like, usually it's just weight loss. I don't know why, but that's what it is. So they go, I want to be at a healthy weight, right? So, or they just say, I want to lose weight. Well, without applying the proper amount of thinking to that, of course, they're going to go to a diet because in theory, that gets them there quickest. It just doesn't get them there if they think about what they really want, which isn't to get the weight off and to gain it back. They want to keep it off. In which case, if you really were clear about that goal, you would never do a diet because it's not going to train you how to keep it off. It's just going to train you it's not even going to train you. It's just going to get it off. Most diets will succeed because they're short term and healthy or not, they're going to get you there. But how do you keep it off? So the struggle, the challenge is always this looking over your shoulder at the flashy thing, right? But this person, I go, yeah, but they're not doing but this person, yeah, but they're not doing what you're doing. But that knows different. You're doing long-term work here, right? And so it's always like this battle. I don't care how old you are. In fact, I stopped working with 20-year-olds because I was like, you got to do like 10 more diets before you're so exhausted by them. Then you come to me. It's like the flashy stuff is still too attractive. But what about go try that again? You'll see that it doesn't work because almost 100% of diets fail.
You sound like my trainer who now trains some of the most high profile women in the city that I live in, from mayors to CEOs, and they're 40 and above. And he talks about the younger generation. And he said, they come in, they say they want to get into a bathing suit because they're going to the beach, this, that, the other, and then they stop.
Yeah.
And he says, they always come in and say, no, I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not. And his name is Chauncey. Shout out to my great trainer, Chauncey. Chauncey always says, I've been in the fitness world for years. and you said the yo-yo effect. I already know human behavior. You could say whatever you want to say. So Sid, we were in the gym and I see these two young ladies come in. Oh, they're friends. They're doing their thing. They're excited. They're coming in. They're tired, but they're pushing through. And I said, Chauncey, where did they go? He said, didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you that once they go to the gym, once they go to the beach or wherever they were going with their significant others, then they were going to stop. And he says, I say that in the beginning, not to discourage them, but I say that I hear it all the time. And I think what I've discovered, excuses mean the most to the person who's saying it, not to the person that we're listening to, but to the person that's saying it. Said, it sounds good. It's like you said you went on the bench. Oh, I really need this. It sounds good to you. Oh, I need to eat this. It really sounds good to you. But to the people that's around you, like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Yeah. And so as you're talking, I want people to know that there are some obstacles that are going to come in the way. Life shows up. Financial shows up. COVID shows up. Racial discrimination across the globe. Gendered bias. All of that shows up that's getting in the way of what you're doing. But what I like, you said, yeah, you can go over there and do that, but this is what I'm doing with you, because quite often now I'm so different when I go into the gym. I remember when I started practicing yoga, Sid, and the guys were like, yo, man, I know you in the yoga class and there's women in there who are wearing this. I have to be real clear. If I turn to look at anybody, I'm already on the floor. So I'm not looking at the downward dogs, upward dog. I'm looking at my own dog. Like I'm going up and I'm going down. Right. And I'm trying to stay, because the moment that I take my mind off of where I am, it's like when I go to yoga, he says, don't say I can stand on one leg. Say I'm standing on one leg. I'm standing on one leg. And so you're so right. When we start to veer off what other people are doing and we lose focus on ourselves, then we forget about why we started. My mantra in my basement, and I'm on the East Coast, so we have basement. A lot of my West Coast folks, y'all don't know about the basements, man.
I'm sitting in one right now, so I'm on the same page.
So mine is, when I come into, so my basement is where my studio is. Everything is in here, Sid, because I shut stuff down. And right over my weight bench is I'm looking at a sign that says, when you feel like giving up, remember why you started.
So good.
When you feel like giving up, remember. And I didn't start because I wanted to impress the girl down the street, or I wanted to impress my children. I want to be alive. That's what I'm very clear. Not alive for anybody. I want to be alive for me. Yeah. And then the bonus is I'm going to be alive for the people that are around me. And so what message do you have for people, Sid, who lose focus, who are looking at social media? And, that's the biggest lie on the planet, that everything in social media is the truth. What message do you have for my listeners that are out there who are looking at, as they say, keeping up with the Joneses? I ain't really met too many Joneses, but, in my neighborhood, it may be the Rodriguez's, but whoever, trying to keep up with other people. What message do you have for them to keep going when it gets tough?
Well, the only thing I would add to the saying over your weight bench is remember why you started. Is some people don't actually know why they started. They don't have a very clear picture of why they started. So they started to lose weight, but again, in a 10, 30-second conversation, I go, why do you want to lose weight? Well, because I want to, I have kids, I want to be active. Why? Well, because I like being with my kids. I like doing hikes. I like traveling. So it's a bigger picture than weight loss. If you just get them past that thing, it's like, that's why you started. You started weightlifting, not because you wanted to build your pecs, because you want to be alive and feel good. If I can attach people to that knowledge of who they are, what they stand for, not what I stand for, not my values, their values. Who am I? What do I stand for? What is important to me? What do I actually care about? And get that so clear before you do act one. Again, mind first, body second. People don't take the time because it's too flashy and sexy to go on a diet, because the physical change is immediate and quick, and you get the accolades. Talk about everyone looks at you and go, oh my gosh, great. So you look so good. What are you doing? What feels really good for us? But it's temporary and it's fleeting. Real happiness comes from inside. And if you do not take the hard work to establish that, no diet, no short-term thing is going to deliver you what you're looking for. That's almost like I talk about it kind of in a drug capacity. Junk food is drug that even, people going, you look amazing. That's a drug. It's a hit. It makes us feel good, but it's not lasting. It's not real. So we've got to figure out who we are so that we can then remember that in the future. And that keeps us on track, that core, that anchor. That's why I have people put it in writing. I go, that's your anchor. You feel lost on a given. I wear a bracelet that I made. It says WWID, and it says, what would I do? Because sometimes we forget in the moment. And if you know what you would do, even the moment when you're emotional, when you look at it, so what would I do? And you go back to what you defined. And it allows you to negotiate an action forward, even if you're feeling a little confused in the moment.
Well, listen, if you want to hear more about Sid, you got to pick up all of his books. If you want to hang out with Sid, you got to follow him on social media. If you want to know more about Sid, you got to listen to his podcast. Sid, let my listeners know how they can get copies of your book, check out the podcast, and look at all the videos that you have out there.
Cool. Yeah. My book, the new book, Six Truths, is on everywhere, stores and online, everything. Raising Healthy Parents, same thing. And that's the Parenting Healthy Parents book. And then Approaching the Natural, it's everywhere. My podcast is What Sid Thinks. And my YouTube is just youtube.com/Sid Garza-Hillman. My website, sidgarzahillman.com. And then there's smallsteppers.com and smallstepintensive.com. So those are the places I'm not on social media. So YouTube is the only place you can sort of see me outside of my own sites. But yeah, so I'm out and about when this whole craziness, I direct an ultra marathon, which I think is hopefully going to happen again in 2022. I had to cancel it 2 years in a row. So I'm looking forward to that. And otherwise just speaking around the country again, I hope pretty soon.
Well, Sid, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you with all the great things that you are doing. What is the impact that you want to leave on the world?
Oh, well, I'd like to leave the world a better place than I found it. I'd like to empower people I don't even say that I help people transform into new people. I want people to become who they are. And that's I talk about being on drugs. When I see somebody who doesn't need me anymore because they found who they are and they're moving closer to that and they realize they may not even get there 100% and they don't even care anymore. They are feeling strong because they already were and they lost their way a little bit. That's like a thing I just like, oh my God, it's like the most fulfilling thing I've ever experienced in my life is to see somebody find their own strength and power that was already there all along. And they just found it and they're like, good, see you, bald guy, don't need you anymore. And I'm like, good, I'll see you on the street and we'll say hi, but that's so good. And it's like the most fulfilling work I've ever done.
Well, man, thanks for hanging out with me, brother. But you cannot leave just yet. The second part of the show is called the Super Bomb Questions, and they're very different from the first part. This time, I'm going to ask you some questions that are very different from the other ones. But with this, Sid, you have to answer them as quickly as possible. They're brought to us by Mountain Made. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay, here we go.
All right, Sid, here we go. What's your favorite word?
Passion.
What's your favorite quote or maybe a lyric to a song or maybe from a spiritual book?
The quote, it's by, I'm going to get it wrong, but it's the one that, I'm going to totally get it wrong. It's the one that when you begin to act, that's when the magic begins.
What's your superpower?
Living by example.
What's your spirit animal?
A lion.
What moves you to tears of joy?
My children and my wife.
What moves children and wife? What moves you to tears of sorrow?
Mistreatment of people, racism and sexism, and just that's where I lose the hope, and I got to figure out how to get it back.
What do you wish you had more time to do?
Talk and be with people and converse and really get to know people on an intimate level.
What is the book or books you've given most as a gift and why?
As a gift, probably The Sports Writer by Richard Ford. It's a great novel. I'm not even into sports, but I just love that darn book so much. And it's so well written and so beautiful. And I just give it out.
What guides your heart?
Love and passion.
Walk us through your morning routine. Once you do all the biological things, what does Sid Garza-Hillman do?
I do Wim Hof breathing every day for about the last 4 years. I do cold therapy every morning. So do the breathing exercises and the cold therapy. I get up and then I exercise. And then and this is all within getting the kids out to school and everything like that. And then I start getting work done.
If you were in the Mr. America talent competition, Sid, what would your talent be?
Singing songwriter. I'm a long-time singer-songwriter. That was an easy one.
Well, man, Sid, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you, brother. I learned so much. I wish you much success. Man, thanks for hanging out with me today. We have so much in common, from living healthy, eating a plant-based diet, running, working out, the love of music.
I just want to say one thing. I just want to say that you're very admirable, and I appreciate the work you do, and thank you for everything that you do. You're doing very, very important stuff, and so I want to make sure your voice is heard as much as possible. So anyway, thank you back, and it was a pleasure being here.
Well, thank you too. And Sid, I got to thank my super duper engineer, Alexander Blanc, my producer, Nicole Klempaka, Supremacy for our theme music,
And all of you for listening. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, and stop being stingy, and share me with all your friends. If you want to know more about me, go to drlds.com, drlds.com. It's always believed that something wonderful is about to happen, but some people miss the message because they're too busy looking for the mess. But not you, but you've been listening to Sound Bombing. Peace. If you paid attention to Sid's story, I encourage you to practice happiness for the next 30 days. I challenge you to start or end each day by identifying at least 3 things you are grateful for. I think you'll be amazed at the end of the 30 days to find that you have created a remarkable new habit. In my experience, we typically realize that we have a lot more to be happy about when we just slow down enough to identify the good things in our lives. If you do not feel happier after careful introspection, then it's time to take charge and make some changes to your life.
The Super Balm questions are brought to you by Mountain Made CBD. Mountain Made is changing the CBD game by offering a line of high-dose CBD tablets at an affordable price. Their products are THC-free and third-party tested for accuracy, cleanliness, and potency. Their products, which ship nationwide, include Build for CBD saturation, Boost for precision titration, and Recover for rest and rehab. With 9 years experience in hemp and fitness, Mountain Made's founders are focused on creating a quality product to help those who live an activated lifestyle. Check out mountainmade.life. Again, that's mountainmade.life to find out more about how their products can help you crush life. Remember, their products ship nationwide. Go check out their website today and follow them on social media at Mountain Made. That's the @ MNTMADE. Our staff at Sound Bombing uses Build before a morning workout, which helps to push our bodies to a whole new level on a daily basis. Try Build, try Boost, try Recover. Our staff is using these products to enhance our active lifestyle naturally, and we are crushing life with Mountain Made CBD, and you can too. Start today by going to mountainmade.life and ordering Build, Boost, Recover, or the multitude of other products that they have which will enhance your lifestyle. I promise you, you won't regret it.